Hello, this is a free call from
Gypsy Blanchard.
an offender at the Chillicothe Correctional Center.
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
To accept this free call, press 1. To refuse this free call, press 2. Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hello?
Hey,
Hi,
how
you
goes it?
been?
Oh, I can't complain. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm doing great. I had a visit yesterday and the day before, and it was very, very good. Like, it was just so good to actually get to talk to them without cameras and glass.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So, I mean...
Yeah, no, I was talking to Christy off and on, and, I'd obviously talked to your dad a little bit because it was his birthday, so... But, yeah, I was glad that he was there on his birthday.
Mhm. Yeah, we played cards for a little bit. He kicked my ass at cards.
Yeah, he's got a lot more experience.
Yeah. And I mean, there was so much to talk about. It's like we never ran out of things to talk about.
Yeah, that's what Christy said.
Mhm. And they told me how the documentary was, and they said that it was very well put together.
Yeah.
That there was some things in it that they need to tell me in person rather than on the phone or something, which I'm glad that they did. And I'm like, there was some stuff in there that I guess my grandpa said, so that they want to tell me themselves. Yeah. So they're like, we need you. You need us to be there, holding your hand. And I'm like, God, how bad is it gonna be? But it wasn't that bad. Excuse me. And they said that it starts off with my interrogation interview, and then it goes into some footage of like me and Nick at the bus station. Footage of my cell phone, that in the hotel and stuff like that. I'm like, oh God, I can't believe they put that shit in there. But I'm like, I just want to let y'all know that I was like freaking high, like on pills and shit. So if I sounded not myself, clearly I wasn't. So, and I'm just like, I understand that stuff has to be in there. Because I did say that y'all can use any evidence that was presented. But some stuff I really wanted to be kept private, but my case isn't really private. I haven't had any privacy since I got arrested.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But all in all, they said that, your part of it was wonderful. And
I haven't seen it, so...
No. Well, May 15th. Comes out May 15th.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's because the week of South by Southwest was the same week as our spring break cruise that we take every year. So.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to go, which was okay, but.
Yeah. Well,
it'll be all right.
At least y'all had fun, and I got to call them while they were there, and I got to talk to Bobby, and like I haven't talked to Bobby since. I'm going to say in county, probably at the beginning of my case. Yeah. So it had been a while. So it was good just to talk to him, tell him thank you for taking up for me. And because he did that article in the paper. So, I just wanted to thank him for sticking up for me, not abandoning me or anything. And there's some family drama going on with Claudia and Christy. I guess Claudia, which is my aunt, if you remember,
right,
is mad because she didn't get invited to the premiere of the documentary in Texas. And she's all like, well, you're just a stepmom and stuff like that. And it kind of pisses me off because I'm like, oh, just a stepmom that has been there for me since all this shit happened. Just a stepmom that takes my calls every time I call. She's really, if you would have told me whenever I first met you that I would be this close with them, I would have told you you're crazy. Because I never thought that I could come so close to them and love them as much as I do now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's literally the mom I've always wanted.
Well, and Karina, I've talked with Karina about this a bunch of times because, of course, the number one question that I get asked by everybody regarding your case, literally, is how did your dad not know? Or how did your dad not do anything about this? And I pondered on that for a long time because, that's, as a father, I mean, that's a very important question. And honestly, after almost 2 years of knowing your dad, the only answer I can really come up with that makes any sense to me is that your dad is just such a nice person. Like, he personally is just such a nice person that I don't think he could ever wrap his head around that something like that could be going on. Like, it never really entered his mind logically that something like that could be happening. He just couldn't imagine it. It's not something that he could ever do, and so he could never see anybody else doing it.
Right. Yeah. And I understand that fully, and it was good because during our visit, I got to ask him questions that I've been wanting to ask him for so long, and I just didn't think that it was the right time, or I was never comfortable with asking at that time, or it was recorded, or something like that. And so I got to ask him those questions to sort out what was truth and what was lie. Because I know that, my mom told me about their divorce and, me when I was little and just different things that just doesn't make sense with the kind of man that he is that I see now. And so, it's good to get those answers. And, they had questions for me. And I told them some stuff that I'm like, look, I lied about this, and I want to come clean with it. I'm actually doing really well with not lying nowadays.
Good.
It's actually the complete opposite. I tend to tell the truth about everything, and even stuff that shouldn't be said, I say.
Right.
So I've come a long ways, and I've come a long ways in both physical and mental and emotional because I've come to understand that what I was going through was abuse, and for so long I wanted to see her as the loving mother that I thought that she was before everything. And I come to realize that, yes, I am a victim in my own right, and that it's not entirely all my fault. I do have a part to play, but I take responsibility for that.
Right.
And so I'm doing a lot better, and I'm doing great in school. And
Good.
So I'm getting closer to getting that GED.
Good.
Once I get that, I can do a lot more other things.
Well, the most important thing is, and I imagine your dad would agree with his part in all of this too, is that the older we get, the more we realize the mistakes we made as we were getting older. And I mean, even in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s, when I say this to people all the time, is it's not the mistakes that you make that define who you are. It's how you respond to them, and it's how you grow from them. And, you had a part to play in it. That's true. But that's also tempered by your, basically what you had been through to that point. And so, it's harder to say that you have responsibility to bear when you didn't have the frame of reference. You can't look at it from my perspective, and this was, again, something that was always hard for me to get people to understand, is you can't look at what happened from your perspective. You can't look at that from everybody else's perspective, because we all have a history and a social awareness that you never got. And so, again, the answer is yes, that's part of it, but, and you had a part in it, but you can't you can't hold yourself to the same standard that everybody else would hold themselves to, because you weren't given that. And that's exactly right about what you're saying about the abuse, because that's what your mother took from you that everybody needs to understand, is that you were never brought up to be normal, quote unquote.
Right.
I mean, you never got, I mean, and somebody at church was asking me about the case and all that. And I said, the thing that you said to me that was the most poignant, meaning the thing that really struck me the most was at the end. And it was when Erin was interviewing you, and she asked you, what is it that you are looking forward to most when you get out of jail? And you said, just being able to go to the park and throw a Frisbee. And, and of course I knew all of this, but it really drove home with me, that you've never been able to do those things. And, to my kids, that's just normal. Like, that's, my son's outside playing basketball right now. I can hear it. Whereas for you, that's not even a normal occurrence. That's not even an occurrence, which, I mean, that's what people have to understand, is that the level of abuse we're talking about is so deep and so insidious that you can't even view it through the same lens that you would view any other situation. Yeah. And that's why I understand what you're saying about the privacy and the documentary and all that kind of stuff. But your story and your situation is such a strange thing, and it's such a weird situation, but it's important for people to understand that these things happen and that they're real, and that, that you are not the only person who's ever been through this situation.
Right. There's probably lots of people that have gone through this. I just read the paper a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if Dan Patterson is handling that case, but it's, I guess, a nurse. Her son's 14, and she was giving him steroids, taking him to all these different clinics to be pumped with medicine and stuff, and they said that it was a form of Munchausen. And I looked at that and I'm like, oh my God, what is it with freaking Springfield and Munchausen's by proxy?
Well, and I think it's more common in other places. I mean, your situation is obviously the extreme. I mean, what you went through is something that I think you experience. Maybe, there may only be 2 other cases in the entire country that are in the neighborhood of what we're talking about. But that doesn't mean that it isn't occurring in lesser forms, that people may be more, maybe more sensitive to it, and even just the criminal justice system being more sensitive to it, because it still bugs me that you had to go to prison.
I know.
And that's still something that bugs me. But and I've talked it over with Clayt and your mom and dad and my wife, and I mean, and every attorney, and everybody agrees we did the right thing, and I think we did the right thing.
I think we did too.
But what I hope is that if this ever, if this happens in the future, that maybe the system will be more sensitive to it, and maybe the next person might be in a better situation. I just, things like that. So
it makes sense, because I mean, if there's one thing that I hope, is that the justice system can be more aware of this kind of disease, and that it does tend to happen more than we think it does. And before, I think it just kind of slipped under the radar, and it's just something that no one really talks about, and because it doesn't approach itself, it doesn't make itself known that often.
Right.
So, if I can bring awareness to people, that's what I want. And I don't know if Christy told you about the whole Dr. Oz shit that happened. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I mean, I had just wanted to do it so I could bring awareness. I'm so freaking done with my name being out there and myself being out there. Because I know I've only done one interview, and that's with Aaron and HBO.
Mm-hmm.
However, I've been talked about so much by everybody else. It's like I just want to be Gypsy. And I even told Dad that I'm like, at what point, I know we want to secure my future financially. I know we want to bring awareness, but at what point do we decide this is it? We need to stop now, and when do I start being just Gypsy? And we're like, I don't know when that's going to be.
And it may be a situation, too, where, because obviously, 6 years from now or whatever, when you're getting close to being released, it's, this is going to come back up again. It's the way news cycles work. And maybe then might be the time. Give yourself a chance to grow and take all of this in and get perspective on all of it before you start getting run through the ringer, because these people are going to be wanting you to explain. And I imagine it's still hard to explain because you're still sorting through what's true and what's not. I mean, that honestly, the hardest part of my job when I was representing you had nothing to do with the law or your case or anything. It was the more than several times that I had to come and tell you that something you understood in your life was false.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, basic things like your age, your dad, and to be the person who had to come to you and say, that thing that you understood as a basic tenet of your life for the last 24 years isn't true. It's a complete lie. And that's, as hard as it is for me to tell you that, I can only imagine how hard it is for you to still be accepting all of those things. Like you said, you just had conversations with your dad about how did I
from
get
a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
So, give yourself time to let all of that just play out. Don't, I understand, everybody wants to do this, that, and the other thing, but you have to heal. You have to
That's
grow.
What I want. I need to heal. Because I've never gave myself time. It was always, I need to sort this out. I need to try and figure out a way to make, that I won't go to prison for the rest of my life. So,
right.
I
understand.
It just kept getting brought up, and every time we had court, it was circus. And so, I haven't given myself time. There are times that, I still have nightmares. I think it's a form of trauma. I think I have.
It is.
I'll remember, I'll just get to thinking about Mom, and I'll remember the sound of her laptop closing. Something simple like that. And I go to sleep that night. And in the morning, I'll have a horrible, gruesome nightmare. Wake up, in a panic to where I'm sobbing and crying. And all I can say is, what have I done? What have I done? And my roommate walks in, and she's like, what happened? What happened? I'm like, I had a nightmare, and you can't help it. You can't help me with this. There's nothing you can say. Because there is nothing anyone can say. You can't say, oh, it was just a nightmare, brush it off. No, because it happened, and I know it happened. And part of it is my fault. And that's the hardest thing, is forgiving myself and learning to kind of push on with the day and move on.
Well, and, now might be the time to just let that happen. The documentary's done. It's going to come out. So, don't be afraid to take that time for yourself. And just tell everybody, look, I need some time. I just need to let all of this, settle. But, just talk with everybody about it and see what they want to do. That's the main thing. But, okay. Well.
Now, I haven't heard anything as far as Nick's part of it is concerned. Last I heard, he had court September 30th, supposed to have trial February 6th, and nothing happened. So,
yeah, it keeps getting continued. he's doing a bench trial.
Oh, okay.
So he's basically arguing that he has autism, so therefore that somehow absolves him of the murder one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the doctor says. But the doctor that they're using is a doctor we've used 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I know him. He's a good doctor.
Mm-hmm.
It may be a situation where, I mean, ultimately, even if the judge finds that he can't hold him guilty of murder one, finds him guilty of murder two, he's still facing up to life in prison. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, I mean, Nick's situation, as strange as it sounds, is far more complicated than your situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your situation was what it was. I mean, we had 1 million pages of evidence to show just how bad your situation was.
Mm-hmm.
Nick's is far more complicated because he probably does have autism and he probably does have some of these other things.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also reams of pages of all kinds of really scary stuff that he was doing and saying. And so, I mean, I'm not sure, even if he is successful in not getting the murder one, I mean, yeah, it allows him to be eligible for parole, but it doesn't necessarily solve his problem of, you know, judge is probably going to make sure he never leaves prison. So,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's not being part of that. It's hard for me to really gauge what the outcome of that is going to be because I don't know what the doctor has actually said.
Right.
So it's hard for me to say what I think the extent of his success is going to be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I read an article in the paper about from the first, the first evaluation that they did, and it just said that he is, you know, on the borderline of the autism spectrum, that I guess he's more mentally childlike. That's what Dr. Frank said.
Yeah, but I mean,
different stuff like that.
And, you know, and one of our really good friends is an autism specialist. And so, I mean, I understand all of that, but, you know, the things that he was doing and saying are not explained by the autism.
Exactly.
Because here's one of the problems I have with that.
Mm-hmm.
Kids with autism generally don't have a very,
Mm-hmm.
what? Okay. Generally don't have very good imaginations.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a little harder for me to believe that he's got this, you know, this vivid imagination, and because obviously he doesn't have dissociative identity disorder, which would be the multiple personalities.
Right.
So that means that, because that was not brought up, so that means that the doctor did not find that, which doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
But what that means is that Victor and all of these other things that he was doing were imagined. They were things that he was creating in his universe to explain his behavior.
Okay.
And that's where I think he runs into a problem with his defense, because his argument, you know, his statement was, you know, he becomes Victor and Victor does all these horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that he's created Victor to take responsibility for all of the bad things he does. It's a lie. It's a giant lie.
Right.
And so, so to me, that's something that isn't really explained by the autism. Now, the problem with autism is it's on a spectrum, which means that there's people who have very, very few symptoms of autism, but they qualify. And then there's kids that are that are nonverbal because their symptoms are so bad. Mm-hmm. So that's the other problem. But like I said, you know, of course, it worries me, you know, that Nick potentially could get a lesser sentence than you, although I think that there's about a 99% chance that does not happen.
Right.
But his defense just, you know, to me, it's what I would refer to as a Hail Mary defense, meaning he's throwing this bomb to the end zone hoping that somehow the defender falls and his wide receiver is able to grab it. And, I mean, if you throw that ball 100 times, it only works one time. And so it means that his defense attorney has nothing else to go on.
Right.
So he's going to trial because he has to. And I understand that part of it because you don't plead on a murder one. There's no. We talked about that. So I mean, his attorney is doing what he has to do because he has nothing else to work with. So I honestly think that the likely outcome is that Nick's either going to get found guilty of murder one or Judge Holden is going to find some truth to it, find him guilty of murder two, but then drop life in prison on him. And, I mean, Nick's going to serve a shitload of time. So. Right,
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just waiting for him to wrap up his part of it. So, because I'm like, I don't know. Dad and Mom want to know if we get the laptop back, you know, the stuff that's in evidence. Because those home movies that I guess Aaron got from the house, we had those transferred onto DVD. And I think that they're in the safe. And so I want those back. I want the ring back. The money legally belongs to me because it was the money that Dad was paying Mom for child support for me.
Okay.
I don't know.
The answer to that is I don't know. The standard answer under the circumstances would be yes, because unless it is contraband, meaning it's illegal, you get it back.
Okay.
Because it belongs to you. The problem is that your situation is there's property that belongs to you, then there's property that belongs to your mother. Okay. And it depends on how it's classified. Because if it belongs to you, they have to give it back to you. But if it belongs to your mother, technically it is owned by the estate. Okay. And so the public administrator, who everybody will be happy to know is no longer David Yancey, who is an idiot. Okay. So the answer to the question is I don't know. I think what would probably have to happen is when that situation occurs, your dad should probably talk to an attorney here in Springfield and probably approach the public administrator about that situation. Okay. Because what I think they're probably going to say is that technically it belongs to your mother, although child support technically belongs to you. So, I mean, that's why I say I can see some legal gray areas in this that I don't know the answer to or how people are going to handle it. So the answer is yes, that property will be released because it is not contraband, and so they're just holding it for the purposes of the trial. Okay. But who it gets distributed to after it is released, that's actually an interesting question. That what I'll do is I'll talk to your dad about it. Okay. And like I said, he probably needs to it'd probably be worth it just to consult with an attorney to see what they say, because it may be something where he can talk to the public administrator and the public administrator can basically say, look, because the public administrator has a duty to the estate. And so if it's worth, I don't know, a couple $100, your dad may be able to buy it off the estate. I'm spitballing. I have no idea how this stuff works.
Yeah.
I just know because we got a demand letter from the public administrator for the things that we took. And I basically told, that actually reminds me. Well, I'm glad your dad and stepmom didn't come and take all that stuff. I got to talk to our in-house counsel to find out what we're supposed to do, because we basically told them to piss off because it was part of the trial. But now that it's not, what are we supposed to do with it? Because does it belong to the estate? That's actually a good question. So, as you can tell, this is kind of a very gray line that I don't know the answer to. So, but I'll talk to your dad about it because, like I said, he probably just needs to talk to an attorney because I understand why you want it back.
Right. Because I'm like, I want the laptop back because it has pictures of our vacation to Disney World that...
Well, and honestly, you don't even care about the computer itself. You want the contents of the computer.
Right, I want the contents of the computer, right.
Well, that might actually be a different story because you may be able to, the public administrator, you may be able to just make an agreement with them that you can come and download the contents of the computer, but they can keep the computer.
Okay, yeah.
That might, because what they're required to do is they're required to liquidate the estate to pay off the bills of the estate, basically. They have a fiduciary duty to the estate. So if they can do their fiduciary duty while still getting you what you need, I think that they'd probably be okay with that.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's actually not a bad idea.
Right, because I'm like, I don't give a shit about the computer. I care about the content.
No, I agree. Yeah. So actually that might be something maybe your dad could just call them and say, hey, this is what we'd like to do. Are you okay with that? And they may just go ahead and say, sure, no problem.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, because that was a question we had.
Okay. Well, I gotta take my son over to his friend's house.
Okay.
So, but it was wonderful to talk to you. You can call me whenever you want. If I'm busy, I just won't answer. But you're more than happy to talk to you anytime you want.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and also thank you so much for agreeing to be my delegate for my parole hearing. That is a huge weight lifted off of my shoulders.
My pleasure. I will be there.
Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.